What is up, fellow bench warmers? Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Bench Warmers. Today, we're going to be talking about schedule. It's that time of the week once again. And the schedule preview episode. And it's going to be an interesting week 4. As you will see in a bit, my name is JJT with Komish Eric Komish. Interesting week 4 schedule. Pretty even when it comes to the number of games. There are no teams with 4 or 5 game schedules, or 2 or 5 game schedules. So all the teams have either 4 or 3 game schedules.
Yes, there are 20 teams with 4 game schedule and only 10 with 3. So with that alone, you know that it's gonna be a jam-packed week.
Yeah,
in terms of number of games.
Yeah, it's also weird because the games are pretty spread evenly. In the sense that the quality game day there's only just one quality game day, and you start off the week pretty much on even playing field because it's a full roster for the first day of week 4. 15 games, all 30 teams playing. So yeah.
Yep. You start the week with 15 games, all 30 teams, because the next day is election day in the US. That's why it's the election week in terms of scheduling for the NBA. The NBA, they're not gonna schedule any day on that, any game on that day. Now they sandwich that day with 15 games and 13 games. So for the first 3 days of the week, you probably have a full slate. Since one day is zero games, 2 games, you'll have full slate. So that makes it even, as you said. And then the tip for this week for me is that you start streaming. You check the schedules of the teams with the good schedule in the last 4 days. Yeah. That's where you start. You reserve your streaming spots.
Yeah. So first day 15 games. Then there's a election day. There are no games there. Thursday 13 games. And then Friday, Manila time, it's 4 games only. So that's the one time wherein you can really stream more players, I guess, or you can plan your stream starting on that day, Friday, and then the rest of the week. So that means you'll probably make lesser moves when it comes to streaming. I don't think you'll be streaming 2 spots, right? You can preserve your move. But the good thing is if you know the schedule, you can already stream for that day, and you won't worry about other managers getting the player you want first, right? So there's a pros and cons as well to streaming that early. I think the disadvantage there is that you might be streaming that play for that player, and then you realize you won't need that category that player contributes. So what's your take on that? I usually am more conservative with streaming. I don't stream way too far ahead. Like I don't stream. I always leave a spot for Judgment Day, which is tomorrow, just because I might think I need assists, and then suddenly the blocks are more winnable. And then if I used up all my streaming moves, then I won't be able to change that spot already.
I agree. What you're suggesting is that they get the streamer they want on that Friday early, like the first day of the week, because of course, if you're full slate, you have a streaming spot. You just put that player there to prepare for that day, which probably is something I would consider. I would be doing also. If you're talking about what if that player you don't need by Friday, usually
still too early.
Too early, plus the fact that if you're punting certain categories, you won't get the player who really is strong in that categories that you're punting. So you would be looking at players that are fit with your strategy also. Plus the fact that I don't think you should stream without looking at the opponent.
Yeah.
If you're playing against, I don't know, Giannis and then Brook Lopez and then all the blockers, I don't think streaming a blocker makes sense. So you should know which is the first, at least even just the first few round picks of your opponent. If they have Steph and then Desmond Bain and then this and that, you know the 3-pointers will be hard. So maybe that way you can align your stream even if it's early on. Another thing is the last 4 days. I know the first day is 4 games. The last 3 is 8, 8, 7. technically 887 is a lot, but I still think you won't have full slates on those days. So streaming in the 4 game day and streaming in the 8 and 7 game day is the same. It's still an added, an added game. Don't have to finish all your all your streamers in the four games day. You can
Yeah.
stream in the 8, even if
No,
it's not a quality day, because
if you finish
of
all
how
your
the
streaming
schedule
moves,
is.
if you finish all your streaming moves on the quality day, that means all your players are streamers, and that does not bode
Yeah.
well
Well,
for
if you have
you.
Yeah, that's true. If you have 3 or 4 only, and then maybe you overstream in that first day because you're thinking this is the only quality day, so I can use my moves here. I have 2 streamable spots, so I'll use here. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Check if you have full slates on the rest of the days, because probably there's still 1 or 2 roster spots available there. And to the point of Jeremy, I agree. I always leave at least one move for the last day. I always leave at least one. I don't want to, unless I'm really in trouble, like 1-8, and I really have to do something, then I have to finish my moves. Or I got so many injuries, I have no choice. That's the only time. But if I can, as much as possible, one move for the last day.
Or someone was dropped and you feel that there could be a long-term hold, then I'll pick that up.
That's true.
Sacrifice the week for the future. So yeah, depends
And
on that's how I usually, but that's the thought process usually with when I stream players.
And with this week though, what's good is that since you can concentrate on the last 4 days, you can look at teams that have good schedules there. We will give you an example later that can preserve some of your moves. That is what we can do.
Yeah. Back to backs, there's not much. Just
Not
the
much.
Tuesday, Wednesday, the ones for you mean what days the back to back? Tuesday to Wednesday? Tuesday.
No, Tuesday, Wednesday, there's no back to back. Wednesday,
Alright.
Thursday, no back to back. The first 2 days
Alright, here.
there will
I'm looking at the
be
wrong slide. Alright. So Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, none. Thursday, Friday, there are 5 teams with back to back: Atlanta, Charlotte, Dallas, New Orleans, and Portland. And then Saturday, Sunday, 3 teams. Sunday to Monday, that's 4 teams. And Monday to Tuesday, heading into week 5, OKC and Golden State are the only teams with back to back.
Yep. In terms of with this, of course, since they have no games in sandwich between 2 heavy days, there will be no back to backs on those days. Given that. So the good news is the players who are more possibly going to be rested or anything might not be there this week because of the light schedule of back to back. But still, there are players I mentioned. I will mention like Mike Conley, of course. Utah has a back to back, and then Zion. He cramped up again a while ago. I don't know what that means for him. Even cramps makes us worried about Zion these days. And then Rozier just came back. I don't know if they're going to play him back to back right away because they have an early back to back. So there, those teams.
We also have some bonus for you. Komish posted the worst defensive rated teams, which means they are some of the best matchups when you are streaming. So if you are trying to get a player, if you're trying to get a player to stream, you might want to consider who their opponents are, and these teams are the worst in the defensive rate, meaning they don't really play much defense. So that means the scoring is probably high scoring, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they're fastest, but the defense is easy.
Yes, and I think the first draft that I gave that we're going to talk about with JJT has Brooklyn as the worst, but that has moved up. Brooklyn is now the 4th worst, but they're still there. They're still there. Well, that's a Kyrie effect. I don't know. Kyrie just has this effect. When he leaves the team plays better. So, but Brooklyn is still there. Brooklyn is still in the worst list. So as of now. Yeah. Who else? I think you have the list.
And then the fastest offensive pace, meaning if you want to stream against these teams, or when these teams are playing, that means they are they have more possessions. When we talk about the fastest offensive pace, they usually give up more possessions. The possessions overall in a game are a lot more than the defensive-oriented teams. So we have the top 10. I think the Lakers, San Antonio, Golden State, Minnesota, OKC, Indiana, Charlotte, Atlanta, Sacramento, and Houston rounds out the top
I guess
10.
you're not surprised with any of those. Again, it's right. I mean,
Uh,
with the
yeah. Not really surprised as these are, I think Minnesota is a bit surprising, especially
yeah,
since they
given
have
Gobert.
Gobert is there. But the others, we've been talking about these teams during our DFS show. Who are the faster paced teams? No one really surprising here in this list. Let's talk
Um,
about yeah.
yeah,
You
just
wanted to,
one thing to note here. Between defensive rating or pace, though, I would prefer pace. Okay, I would give more weight to pace because defensive rating sometimes even if a team's poor or a good defensive team, your players can still do things, to the average of what he's doing. But pace wise, like let's say Lakers, they have 102.9 pace, San Antonio 103.4. Just so much more stats to be recorded when,
yeah.
when these teams play. So that's what I would look more. On the other hand, let's say the pace, the opposite side, it's Dallas, Philadelphia, Cleveland. These are teams I would try to, if there's a choice, try not to stream against. If we're talking streamers, try not to stream against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, now let's talk about some best streaming teams for week 4.
Yeah.
Um, Philly has 3 games in the last 4 days. So
Yep.
if you are looking for any streamers within the last 4 days, Philly might be the team to target, although I don't think there's a lot of options as well for Philly. Maybe Daniel House, Shake Milton, Harrell without Embiid.
If if Embiid's still out,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
Harrell might be
others,
someone to consider.
yeah, the
But
others are very deep league types of streams. I mean, Milton, um, House, right?
well, House actually is still not playing, so I just put House there because I assume he's gonna be ready by the end of the week, by later part of the week. I think his injury is not that serious, but yeah, the options are not that enticing. Harrell, if Embiid's just sick, so I think he's about to come back. He already did shoot around, so
Yeah.
if he comes back, then Harrell will be not that good also. The good
Washington,
thing is
yeah,
what
yeah. Go ahead. I was
the good thing
about
is
to move to
Harden is
Washington.
the good thing is Harden is out. So yeah, maybe you get Milton and House really get some more minutes because of that. Or
Yeah,
PJ Tucker if you're really desperate.
yeah. Washington is the other team with 3 games in the last 4 days, and
And a better
uh,
schedule.
better
And a better
schedule, better
yeah.
streaming players. I guess if you want Denny, although Denny has been relegated to the bench rule.
Yeah.
So Rui maybe or Barton maybe, right? If there's some Bartons there, I mean these are better players, better options than the Philadelphia team, right? Gafford in case you need some rebounds and blocks. But I think
Yeah,
yeah,
I think Avdiha, if you need some all around stats, just generally you want to play safe. Who I don't know which stats I'm gonna be close at, but I want somebody who can help in all. I think Avdiha will be there. But Barton, yeah, I agree also Barton.
but I think the one thing that we want to look into as well is the schedule. So the streaming, in terms of the streaming schedule, nothing to be too excited about. At least you know which teams to target when you try to stream later in the week. But let's look at the best teams with the best fantasy schedule when it comes to matchups. These are favorable to your star players, to your key guys. If your key guys are against these teams, especially we talked about the pace and the defensive rating, those are the considerations for these teams. We have New York, who are going up against Minnesota, Brooklyn, Detroit, and OKC. And then Dallas against Brooklyn, Orlando, Washington, Portland, New Orleans, Miami, Milwaukee, Toronto rounds out the week with the best fantasy schedule.
I also use this best fantasy schedules and for managers who are playing weekly set leagues where you have to set your lineup already for the start of the week. So let's say New Orleans, they have Indiana, they have Portland, they have Houston. So actually Portland and Houston, they're and Indiana, they're kind of, you know, small ball, fast paced teams. So a guy like Larry Nance, for instance, if you're considering whether you will start him or not, I think this week you still continue to start him with those matchups. So that's how you help you get how you choose players in terms of using this best fantasy schedules, favorable one.
And Toronto is another team who might have some good streamers like Achua if they're available, because Siakam would be out, and you know he's not a star player, but at least he gets a favorable matchup against Chicago, Houston, OKC, and Indiana.
Especially the last three: Houston, OKC, Indiana. I think if you have Achua, if you have Boucher, you're thinking, well, start Boucher. What if Siakam returns in the middle? I think you can safely start those two players. New York, in the JJT mentioned New York. They have OKC, Detroit, and Brooklyn, Minnesota. Actually, those four are in the top 10 of pace and defensive rating, worst defensive rating. So I think Isaiah Hartenstein for one is a borderline start. No, you start him already this week since you're sure Mitch Robinson will be out for 10 days. Yeah. So that makes him a good start. So those are,
like you said, this is perfect for weekly settings as well. On the daily, you don't do much really other than just play your guys. Or if on a 15 game league, in a 15 game what do you call this? In a 15 game slate, if you're deciding which player to start over the other, and they're pretty much on the equal level, equal ranks, then you know you might consider the matchups and the pace and these teams as well. All right, so that's week 4, guys. Hopefully this was helpful for you, and good luck. Tomorrow is Judgment Day, and we'll talk more about certain players probably tomorrow on Judgment Day. We'll see how the matchups have been for our commission. I have been just discussing about some of the leagues that we had, some missteps that we did in today's slate, but yeah, we'll talk about them more tomorrow. And for now, that's it for the weekly schedule analyzer for week 4. And we'll also post this on our website, fantasybenchwarmers.com, so you'll be able to read the whole piece there, rated by Kumish. All right, we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Bye.